Hello, my name is Stephen Denman. My organisation is Shining Guidance. My website is shiningguidance.com. I'm going to talk to you today about the connections between celestial hyperspace, the language of hyperspace, and autism spectrum disorder. Now, it has been argued that from the research which has been done into the cognitive science of religion, or CSR, it has been discerned by many, shall we say, scholars and scientists over the past 30, 40, 50 to 60 years that the automatic potency and the collective ability of those individuals who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, to be able to read minds has a direct link to the persistent tendency that they have to also believe in the angels who exist in celestial hyperspace and the heavenly kingdom, as well as the astral deities and the various astral spirits that obviously exist within the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. Hence, the individuals who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, have become a rather fascinating focal point for many individual scholars and academics who want to study the correlation between the belief in superhuman agents and the various theories of human psychology in regards to the higher functioning cognitive processes and potency of individuals who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions. So, we know that numerous children and adults who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, are unconsciously aware of the vast and boundless electromagnetic parameters of celestial hyperspace, which also includes the language of hyperspace, which itself is comprised of literally vast quantities of multicoloured geometric shapes and archetypal glyphs that enable human beings to comprehend the mysteries of the infinite oneness and the eternal mind of the universal creator of heaven and earth and every eternal parallel dimension, parallel reality, and parallel universe forever and ever. Now, many aspects of celestial hyperspace and therefore the language of hyperspace include really linking in and overlapping onto the various New Age movement topics that have become so popular in the Western world in the last few decades. That include things like color healing and dream analysis, and that would also include dream symbolism, numeric values, and numeric symbolism, as well as astral projection and light vortexes, auric fields, and hyperspatial travel. And obviously, the superluminal and super fast electromagnetic vibrations of celestial hyperspace, where the waveforms pulsate and actually become formed into the outlines that are then appearing constantly with incredible super fast speeds as geometric shapes and archetypal glyphs, which equivalently project from the infinite oneness and the eternal mind of the universal creator. Now, every vibratory aspect of celestial hyperspace that appears, shall we say, in the language of hyperspace, in these various geometric shapes and archetypal glyphs, are displayed in either pale or more darker hues and shades of red and orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and violet. Now, both children and adults with autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, are fully attuned to the frequencies of celestial hyperspace and the language of hyperspace and knowingly observe these various geometric shapes and archetypal glyphs that are emanating directly from the universal creator in perhaps psychic visions they're having, perhaps in lucid dreams that they've been having, telepathic downloads that they've been receiving from ultra terrestrials or extraterrestrials, either who are existing, shall we say, on spacecraft outside the solar system, somewhere therefore in this galaxy, or they're existing perhaps in the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. And in addition to this, individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, can effectively receive telepathic messages from the archangels in celestial hyperspace, as well as, so we say, telepathic messages from the ascended masters who exist in the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. So we know that within different countries that include obviously the United Kingdom of Great Britain, as well as across countries like France, Belgium, Holland, Denmark, and Germany in mainland Europe, and then across the North Atlantic Ocean into Canada and the United States of America, and then down into Mexico and Guatemala and Central America, there are vast numbers of individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, who have collectively realized that beyond the 3D holographic reality, this material dimension is the infinite oneness and multidimensional presence of light beings and angels and the divine guardians that have become known as the archangels, who exist in celestial hyperspace and directly interact with the language of hyperspace themselves. Now, various supernatural attributions have become very commonplace amongst individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions in comparison to more neurotypical individuals. And obviously, children and adults with autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions have far more unusual somatosensory experiences, which they have always defined as being supernatural in their bases concerning, shall we say, a sense that there's an invisible presence nearby, or an invisible touch, or that they have direct telepathic communication with ultra-terrestrials or extraterrestrials that are residing within the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. And obviously, the soul personalities of any individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions have chosen to come here, have chosen the locations they've been born into, the parents they're born to, and obviously their neurological condition in having autism spectrum disorder ASD. And obviously, a lot of these individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions have come here to facilitate the sense of compassion and love and empathy that's needed to be conveyed to many more neurotypical individuals who are emotionally and psychologically suffering and feel terrible stress, maybe suffering from various kinds of major depressive disorder, MDD, also known as clinical depression, and obviously need to resolve issues from their own past incarnations in the present moment here on planet Earth. So individuals with autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions are able to connect to and directly communicate with their higher selves with absolute natural ease. They can connect very easily to ancestral spirit guides and also to the various astral spirits within the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. And obviously, they're not able to really connect that well to the more condensed vibrations of planet Earth. This is why individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions have a difficult time communicating with more neurotypical humans. Wherefore, they can easily resonate with celestial hyperspace and the language of hyperspace simply because they don't have those more condensed, shall we say, incarnational connections with planet Earth that most neurotypical individuals do have. So many children and adults with autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions actually exist both mentally and cognitively far more in the faster vibratory rate settings of celestial hyperspace, where they're connected to the language of hyperspace, as opposed to more neurotypical individuals. And both children and adults with autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions, shall we, also exist far more in their upper light vortexes than in the, shall we say, lower light vortexes of their auric fields or auras. This is evident in the number of individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions who excel in a fantastic way in many different academic subjects. Such individuals have little or no concern for really human sexuality, which is really related to the lower kinds of light vortexes anyway. And therefore, with all that aside, any individual who has autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions tends to experience life in an ongoing intuitive manner that more neurotypical individuals can only really imagine. It's really that fantastic being an individual who has autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions. Now, I hope you've enjoyed watching this presentation. I've certainly enjoyed giving you this information. I thought it was poignant and highly relevant. And I think you'll walk away from watching this video thinking, wow, this is really quite fascinating and far-reaching information. These connections between celestial hyperspace and the language of hyperspace and autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions are literally awesome. And it really further goes to show that the neurological condition that's become defined as autism spectrum disorder or ASD really is a bit of an illusion. It's a bit of a fallacy. And it's really just a psychological label. It's a type of psychological categorization of those individuals, when the vast majority of children and adults that have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions are really, really quite supernatural incarnations who find really the process of it trying to integrate into this world as human beings here on planet Earth a real emotional and psychological struggle. But they excel with incredible ease and wondrous reflection when it comes to dealing with looking into celestial hyperspace and the language of hyperspace and their relationship with the Lord God Almighty, also known as the universal creator of heaven and earth and every eternal parallel dimension, parallel reality and parallel universe forever and ever. And that is just truly fantastic. And we should all be celebrating that and fully supporting emotionally and psychologically all individuals, whether they're children and adults, who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions. So I'm sure you've enjoyed watching this video presentation as much as I've enjoyed presenting this wonderful and highly reflective information to you. There'll be many more videos to come in the near future. And on that note, folks, thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you all soon.